What I really wanted to reflect on is a question that I've been battling with for a really long time. To bring context, earlier this year or last year, if I'm not mistaken, Ngoki Wationgo's son came out and spoke about how his father abused his mother. And as much as I was really saddened by this, I was also not really surprised because it's something that was really common, especially from leaders of that time. Mandela abused his wives and children, like we know that. Biko abused his wife. Martin Luther King abused his wife. The reality of the situation is none of these leaders were perfect. But my question is, where do we draw the line, and which imperfections can we excuse and which imperfections cannot be excused?
Controversial take incoming. So, I was watching a video where someone was speaking or addressing something I feel that is often lacking when people celebrate or recognize the commendable works of people who are prominent. So, when details or intelligence emerges their some of some of their unadmirable actions or traits, we often, because we have not been affected personally by those actions or by the things they are doing, that really are sort of hypocritical to the stance they have taken publicly on perhaps an injustice of a different sort or of a different context, but an injustice that actually, when looked at or compared with the kind of injustice that they perpetuate, it actually is the same thing. Because you cannot say you're fighting for, the dignity of humans, against racism or against colonization, and then turn around and perpetuate the same kind of injustice and indignities, and be guilty of perpetuating those injustices and indignities against women and children on the basis of the same superfluous reasoning that has been used to perpetuate colonialism, oppression, and racism on you, because racism is perpetuated on the basis of how someone's color looks and how someone's hair is and how someone's genetics are, the same as the fact that sexism is perpetuated based on someone's gender. That's basically how someone was born, how someone looks. And I mean, all of those are very senseless and non objective ways of treating someone. You cannot uh, think someone is not intelligent or someone does not deserve something on the basis of them having been born a certain or with certain physical attributes that include certain organs that you do not have. So it is disingenuous for us to celebrate people who perpetuate the same kind of injustice that publicly they condemn, just because it's not in the same context and because we benefit or we like those ideas. I mean, if they can rise to that level of understanding of the injustice, of the nuances of that behavior when it's perpetuated by others against them, it means they also can be alive to the same nuances when they perpetuate it against others. So they are not victims of the abuse that they have perpetuated. They actually, I feel they are intentional in their abuse. So when they abuse the women and children in their lives, they're not doing it because they're victims, because they don't understand. that what they're doing is wrong and shouldn't be done. They do it knowingly because they already know, they already understand that prejudice of any kind, that oppression of any kind, is wrong, because they are out there speaking about um, not oppressing people on the basis of race, not oppressing people's languages, not thinking less of someone because of a language they speak, or trying to take over the mental universe of someone um, through language, by stripping them of their language and putting yours in its place so that you can own their thinking. Because I mean, when you take someone's language away and you put your own, it means you actually own their thoughts. They might not think of it that way because they are busy feeling proud of having learned and conquered your language, and maybe even speaking it better than you, that they don't realize just the kind of power you hold over them, the kind of power they're willingly giving to you. They also take whatever subliminal messages that have been deposited into their psyche through your actions of stripping them of their language and supplanting, that language with your own. They think that the ideas that they hold about you, about the world, about life, about what is of value and what isn't, are their own conception, are their own ideas. Meanwhile, they actually don't own those ideas. They just don't know, because they don't understand to what level someone has ascended in controlling them. So I don't know. I mean, for me, it really, I do not like and I do not celebrate anybody who has these revolutionary thoughts when it emerges that they themselves have perpetuated the same kind of crimes against others, just because it's a different context. Just because you are abusing women, you are oppressing women, you think it's not the same as being oppressed on the basis of your race, because you are doing it on the basis of someone's gender. So yeah, I suppose yes, people are not perfect, but once someone has really ascended to that public platform and that public respect, maybe something to atone for would be for them to publicly acknowledge the wrong that they have done, not because I do not know anywhere where either of the leaders that the speaker in this video that I'm going to, or that I have stitched here, if any of them ever publicly acknowledged the wrong that they have done against the people in their lives who were vulnerable to them and who were the victims of their perpetuating of these actions that should not be admired, that we do not admire, that we condemn, while at the same time praising them for their thought leadership, for the genius ways they can think of things and explain to them in a way that we ourselves are incapable or do not have the words, or we could not have ascended to that level of thinking for whatever reason. So now they've opened our eyes, and we are so grateful that we are willing to pardon anything, especially because bodily, physically, with propinquity, we were not affected. So those who had more proximity to them in their lives are the ones that suffered the bodily consequences of. Because if you are saying maybe in learning or in understanding the injustices of racism, they were also learning and understanding the injustices of sexism and patriarchy. But their lessons came at the expense of other people, not themselves. They were the ones not cut up. They were not the ones living a miserable life from the time they came into contact with themselves. And to think that, this some of these women have gone to the grave having known maybe little or none of the joy or the pleasure of what we know or enjoy of these leaders, because for them, they never did get justice. They never did get, they were treated badly by these people to the end.